Welcome, dear subscribers and curious listeners of my channel. Today we're going to talk about the strange and unusual sweets beloved by wizards in the world of Harry Potter. Strictly speaking, Rowling made many of these treats not only insane but also dangerous and sometimes even pointless, simply to emphasize the contrast between the Muggle and wizarding worlds. Today we'll discover what's so special about these magical sweets. Number 1. Tastes can't be argued about. Let's start with the most unusual, candies that at first glance might seem like true exotic treats for Muggles. One such example is cockroach clusters, a sweet made from real cockroaches. While it looks like just a simple candy shaped like insects, in reality, this treat is literally made up of bugs. Surely most Muggles wouldn't even dare touch such sweets, let alone eat them. In this section of the Sweet Kingdom confectionery, there are other extravagant treats such as blood-flavored lollipops, which Ron and Hermione considered buying for Harry. For Muggles, such treats could cause a true shock, but for wizards, they're just amusing fun. Number 2. Striking breakfasts. Now let's talk about striking breakfasts. Strange treats that became a real hit among Hogwarts students. Unlike ordinary sweets, these treats are intended to cause harm to health or unpleasant sensations. Fred and George Weasley essentially created an entire line of fun and dangerous sweets, including vomiting pastilles and blood-flavored candies. These treats are perfect for skipping classes or distracting oneself from boring moments at school. Although I can't understand how the Ministry of Magic allowed them to sell such dangerous products. Yet, in their shop in Diagon Alley, these items became true bestsellers. Number 3. Dangerous sweets. It might seem that Fred and George's products aren't that special, but in fact, wizards have been treating themselves to dangerous snacks for a long time. Let's recall, for example, the licorice candies from the movie Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which bite a little. This product is clearly intended for those who want to experience the eerie sensation of eating something alive. Another example could be the peppermint toads, which continue to jump around in your stomach, quite a strange but still popular treat among wizards. And if you like more extreme sweets, you can try acid pops, which, if you overdo it, can burn through your tongue. But apparently that only increases their appeal despite the danger. Number 4. Sweets for everyone. Let's go back to more normal sweets that might appeal to Muggles. For example, chocolate frogs. It's simply a delicious piece of chocolate that moves and tries to escape while you're eating it. Just like in Attack on Titan, but without the screams. And although the frogs don't move in the books, on screen they look pretty funny. Wizards also love giving sweets shapes related to magical arts. Frogs, cauldrons, pumpkins, feathers and mice. These aren't the most dangerous treats, but they still add a certain eccentricity to the wizarding world. Another innocent treat is Drubble's gum, which allows you to blow enormous bubbles that can float around the room for days. This treat would surely be loved by Dudley if he found himself in the wizarding world. But even such sweets as Bertie Bott's Every Flavor beans, with their variety of flavors, might seem strange to Muggles. Despite this, they're perfect for having fun with friends. Some will laugh when they accidentally get the flavor of vomit, while others will get burnt potato. Fun is guaranteed. Number 5. Sweets with magical effects. Among the many magical sweets, some are not just delicious, they possess real magical properties. One such candy is Pettuccino, a strange confection that changes the voice of anyone who eats it. The moment you bite into this odd treat, your voice transforms. It could become raspy, take on a strong accent, or even mimic the voice of one of the most famous figures in the wizarding world, like Neville Longbottom. Imagine Ron biting into a peppuccino and suddenly speaking in a deep, booming voice, much to the confusion of his friends. "Oi, Ron, is that really you?" Harry would ask, staring in disbelief as Ron continues to speak in an entirely unfamiliar tone. But not everyone finds these voice-changing sweets amusing. Some believe that the effects of peppuccino go beyond simple fun and games. There's a rumor that the candy can even take on more dangerous properties, temporarily altering not just a person's voice, but their entire identity. "Be careful, Harry," Hermione would warn, ever cautious of the potential dangers. These candies could do more than just change how you sound. The unpredictable nature of peppuccino highlights a crucial lesson in the magical world. Not all magical treats are harmless. While the candy might seem like just a quirky way to entertain friends, its ability to temporarily alter one's identity serves as a reminder that magic, even in the form of sweets, should always be handled with care. Number 6. Edible carousels. One of the most fascinating sweets in the magical world are the spinning caramels. These little candies, shaped like tiny wheels, come to life the moment you bring them close to your lips. As you lick them, they start spinning, and the magic begins. Each one carries a hidden charm. When you finish eating it, tiny illusions appear before your eyes. You might catch glimpses of your past, like a forgotten memory, or even visions of what the future might hold. Imagine sitting in a potions class at Hogwarts with Professor Snape droning on and suddenly seeing a flash of something that could happen in your near future. Wouldn't that be a welcome distraction? In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, these spinning caramels would have been a perfect treat for Harry and his friends during their time in Hogsmeade. They'd gather in the crowded candy shop, eyes wide with curiosity, wondering if their future would be as exciting as their present. "What do you think you'll see?" Ron might ask, always eager for a bit of magic, though still cautious about what he might learn. The allure of these caramels lies not just in their sweet taste, but in the tantalizing mystery of what they might reveal. In the magical world where the future is often uncertain, who wouldn't want a glimpse of what's to come? It's the perfect combination of fun and fortune. Number 7. Deceptive lollipops named. One of the most curious sweets in the wizarding world are the deceptive delights. At first glance, they appear to be nothing more than ordinary caramel lollipops, but they hold a surprising secret. As you lick them, the flavor constantly shifts, changing from sweet to sour and even to spicy depending on your mood. For example, if you're feeling joyful, the lollipop may taste like a burst of fresh fruit, while a moment of frustration might turn it into something unexpectedly bitter. It's as if the candy is reading your emotions and adapting to them in real time. Harry, during one of his more stressful days, might have bitten into one of these lollipops, only to find the sweet flavor turning into something sharp and sour, much like the chaos of his own thoughts. These lollipops have a strange and somewhat unsettling reputation among the wizarding community. Some say that under the right circumstances, deceptive delights can trigger hallucinations, visions so vivid that they seem almost real. Imagine sitting at the table in the Great Hall, mindlessly licking the lollipop, when suddenly the room starts to spin and you see things that aren't there. "I heard they can make you see things that don't exist, like creatures from the Forbidden Forest," Ron might whisper nervously, eyeing the treat with suspicion. While no wizard has dared to test these wild claims, the stories themselves add to the mystery surrounding the candy. For all their magic, deceptive delights are not for the faint of heart. Unlike regular sweets, they play on the mind, testing the boundaries of both taste and perception. While some might find the ever-changing flavors fun and exciting, others, especially those like Hermione who values control, would steer clear. In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, it wouldn't be hard to imagine Harry, Ron, and Hermione sitting around the table at the Yule Ball, hesitantly passing a deceptive delight among them, wondering what flavor it will take next. The magical properties of these candies make them a perfect metaphor for the unpredictable nature of life at Hogwarts, where nothing is ever quite what it seems. Number 8. Confectionery magic and social networks. In the magical world, not all sweets are as innocent as they appear. Some are created with a far more sinister purpose in mind. Take, for example, the infamous chocolate bombs. These are no ordinary chocolates. Once consumed, they explode in the mouth, sending waves of panic, anxiety, and sometimes even fear through the eater's body. The shock of the explosion triggers an overwhelming rush of emotions, leaving the victim stunned. It's not just a prank, it's a test of resilience. In small magical gatherings, these candies are often used to challenge one's ability to control magic under pressure. Imagine Draco Malfoy, always keen to show off his superiority, secretly slipping a chocolate bomb into someone's drink at the Slytherin table. The explosion would catch his victim off guard, sending them into a frenzy. While most would struggle to stay calm, Draco would sit back, enjoying the spectacle, knowing full well that the confusion would lead to a magical outburst, perhaps even an accidental spell. It's a sneaky way to test someone's true abilities in the heat of the moment. As Harry experiences in the Goblet of Fire, magic often comes to the surface in the most unexpected situations. In this case, it's not just about the sweet taste, it's about the unexpected magic that follows. But there's a deeper purpose to these candies than mere mischief. The explosive nature of the chocolate bombs brings out the raw power of magic. When the shock hits, it's almost as though the eater's control over their magic is momentarily lost, creating a surge of energy. For the more experienced witches and wizards, this is an opportunity to harness that power and use it to their advantage. It's as if the bomb itself acts as a catalyst, awakening untapped magical potential. For the less experienced, however, it's a dangerous game, one that can easily spiral out of control. Number 9. Magical pastries for gourmets. Among the many magical treats in the wizarding world, there is one that stands out for its mysterious power, the cakes of fate. These delicate pastries aren't just meant to satisfy your sweet tooth, they hold a deeper, magical secret. Each bite seems to bring you closer to understanding your future. The more you eat, the clearer your destiny becomes. It's as if the very act of savoring the cake connects you to the threads of time, revealing glimpses of what is to come. In a world where so much is uncertain, these pastries offer an odd sense of control over one's fate. Imagine a quiet evening at the Burrow, with Harry and his friends sitting around the table. Mrs. Weasley, ever the loving host, serves up a platter of these cakes of fate to ring in the new year. Ron, ever skeptical, eyes the pastry with hesitation, while Hermione's curiosity gets the best of her. As Harry takes a bite, he feels a strange shiver run down his spine. The world around him seems to shift for a moment, as if he can almost see the future unfolding. "Do you feel that?" he asks Ron, who shakes his head, already lost in his own thoughts. But the cake is more than just a magical treat. It's a sign that fate, in its peculiar way, is never far away. But the cakes don't give their secrets away easily. Each pastry comes with a message, a hidden prophecy that only reveals itself once you've eaten the entire cake. It might whisper promises of success, warn of dangers ahead, or leave you questioning your choices. The message isn't always clear. In fact, the more you try to decipher it, the more confusing it becomes. It's as if the cake is playing with us, Harry might think, trying to make sense of the cryptic words written inside. That uncertainty, however, is part of their charm. After all, not knowing exactly what the future holds is what makes life and these cakes so intriguing. For many, the cakes of fate become a ritual, a symbol of hope, fear, or excitement for the year ahead. At Hogwarts, they're often served during the New Year's feast, adding an air of mystery to the festivities. The cake's unpredictable messages make them a favorite among students, who eagerly look forward to their sweet revelations. They may not always be accurate, but they spark conversations and fuel imaginations. And as with any magical treat, it's the unpredictability that keeps everyone coming back for more. What will your cake of fate reveal about you? Only one way to find out. Number 10. Biscuits that can talk. In the magical world, food is rarely just food, and one of the most curious treats is the talking biscuit. These cookies are more than just a sweet snack. They possess a peculiar enchantment. Once eaten, they begin to speak. Some might find this charming, but for others, it's a complete nuisance. Imagine sitting down for a quiet meal, only for the biscuit you just bit into to start talking about the meaning of life, or worse, gossiping about the latest scandal in the wizarding world. Harry Potter himself could probably have used one of these biscuits during his time at Hogwarts. Picture this: Harry sitting in the Great Hall, alone with his thoughts, when suddenly a biscuit he grabs from the table starts debating with him about the ethics of using the invisibility cloak. This type of unpredictability would have surely caught his attention and likely tested his patience. It's easy to imagine Ron's reaction too. Ron, who already found it difficult to stay focused with all the chaos around him, would surely have a hard time dealing with a cookie that just wouldn't stop talking. The beauty of talking biscuits lies in their unpredictability. They don't just engage in small talk, they dive into deep philosophical rants, wild theories, and sometimes downright bizarre commentary on magic. Such biscuits can be particularly handy when you need a distraction or wish to avoid difficult conversations. For example, when Dumbledore needed a bit of diversion from his usual serious talks, a talking biscuit might have been just the thing to lighten the mood. However, not all witches and wizards see these biscuits as mere entertainment. Some, like the infamous Fred and George Weasley, might have seen an opportunity for mischief. What better way to trap someone in a conversation they can't escape than with a cookie that doesn't know when to stop? In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Fred and George were running their joke shop, a talking biscuit would have been a perfect addition to their prank lineup. Imagine the chaos it could cause during a quiet moment at the Burrow, something Fred and George would no doubt enjoy. For better or worse, these cookies show how magic can turn even the most ordinary of items into something extraordinary, for amusement or mischief. Number 11. Deep Night Caramels. In the wizarding world, sweets often hold more than just flavor. They can unlock extraordinary abilities. One of the most fascinating examples of this is the Deep Night Caramels. These little candies, once eaten, grant the consumer a heightened sense of awareness during the night. A wizard who consumes one of these treats can see perfectly in the dark, hear even the faintest whispers, and feel the slightest movements in the air, as if it were daylight. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry finds himself sneaking around the darkened halls of Hogwarts after curfew, and a Deep Night caramel would have been the perfect aid. Imagine how useful these candies could be for any student desperate to avoid Filch's sharp eyes or the ever-watchful ghosts. Harry's late-night adventures would have been much less perilous if he had access to these sweets. In fact, it's easy to see why students like Ron and Hermione might have given anything to get their hands on these magical confections during their midnight escapades. However, like many magical items, deep night caramels come with their own risks. In the books, we see how too much of something seemingly harmless can quickly turn dangerous. The candy's effect, while powerful, doesn't come without a price. If consumed in large quantities, the user might suffer from insomnia, haunted by strange dreams that blur the line between reality and fantasy. These side effects can leave a wizard exhausted with a fragile grip on the world around them. Even in the magical world, nothing is ever entirely safe. The caramel's allure lies in their ability to push the boundaries of perception. Yet they are a reminder of the dangers that come with any powerful magic. Just as Harry might have wished for the perfect solution to his late-night challenges, he also would have had to face the consequences of pushing too far, too quickly. Deep night caramels, like the magic they embody, remind us that every gift comes with a price. Number 12. Coffee brogs. The peculiar nature of magical sweets is something that any wizard or witch can attest to. Among these intriguing concoctions, coffee brogs stand out as one of the most fascinating. At first glance, they appear to be nothing more than caramel candies with a simple coffee flavor, yet their magical effect is far from ordinary. In fact, they are renowned for their extraordinary power to accelerate the mind. The instant one consumes a single coffee brog, the world around them begins to shift. Thoughts race, ideas collide, and it feels as though you can juggle multiple tasks simultaneously without breaking a sweat. But as with most magical concoctions, this seeming boon comes with a hidden cost. While these candies promise intellectual bursts of speed and creativity, they also bring a significant downside once their effects wear off. Take, for instance, a student preparing for the grueling exams at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Many would have seen the nervous eyes of a young wizard darting around the library, or even heard their mutterings under their breath, trying to cram an entire year's worth of magical knowledge in a single night. It was during these desperate times that students, especially those facing a mountain of homework or the daunting prospect of final exams, would turn to coffee brogs. The candy was favored not only by the more resourceful students, but by the ones who perhaps hadn't prepared as well as they should have. The sweet treat promised to give them a quick and powerful mental edge, and for a while it worked wonders. Just imagine, for example, Hermione Granger, a bright and studious student, but one who occasionally found herself overwhelmed by the demanding workload of Hogwarts. During the stress-filled weeks leading up to her OWLs, she had come across a batch of coffee brogs that had found their way into her possession, courtesy of a well-meaning gift from Fred and George Weasley. The twins had gotten the candy from a newly opened joke shop they had started in Diagon Alley, and being the mischievous and clever entrepreneurs they were well aware of the demand for such magical snacks. Hermione had been skeptical at first. She was used to relying on her intelligence and diligence to solve problems, not relying on quick fixes. Yet with time slipping away and a mountain of essays to write, she couldn't help but give in to the temptation. After popping one into her mouth, the results were instant. Her thoughts became a blur of energy, each one flowing effortlessly into the next, and suddenly she felt as if she could absorb every textbook at once. Concepts she had struggled with for weeks now seemed so much simpler, and solutions appeared as if they were handed to her on a silver platter. For a time, she marveled at how quickly she could write essays and revise spells. With each passing minute, her productivity soared. The world around her seemed to slow down as her mind moved faster than she ever thought possible. But this magical candy's effects, as beneficial as they were never meant to last. Eventually, like all powerful spells, the magic began to wane. Just as quickly as the clarity had come, it began to fade, and with it, the weight of exhaustion descended. Hermione, who had felt so invigorated, now found herself struggling to stay awake. Her body ached with fatigue, and a pounding headache soon followed. What once felt like an endless surge of mental energy now became an oppressive cloud of tiredness. The overwhelming exhaustion was the flip side of the coffee brog's enchantment, the price one had to pay for tapping into such powerful magical energy. While Hermione managed to push through with sheer determination, the aftermath of consuming the coffee brogs left her physically drained. This was not an isolated case. Many students, especially in the more competitive houses, had fallen victim to the alluring promise of increased brain power. Some even found themselves addicted to the speed at which they could work, while under the influence of the candies, only to be left in an endless cycle of exhaustion and pain. The most dangerous aspect of these treats was the toll they took on the body once their magic faded. A brilliant mind could only keep up that pace for so long before it would demand its rest. But during those precious hours when the coffee brogs worked their magic, students like Hermione found themselves completing essays, assignments, and even solving complex spells that they would have otherwise struggled with. The twins, Fred and George Weasley, of course, were well aware of these effects when they marketed their new product. They knew that just like their other magical products, the coffee brogs would provide just enough excitement and thrill to captivate their audience. But they also knew that the side effects might eventually deter some potential customers. However, they were nothing if not enterprising, and the twins cleverly marketed the sweets as a way for witches and wizards to push through and get more work done when they needed to. They played on the idea of deadlines and the academic pressures at Hogwarts, where students were always scrambling to get things done on time. The twins made sure to note on the packaging that the candies were best enjoyed in moderation, but as anyone familiar with Fred and George's business style would know, they didn't exactly have a reputation for caution. Number 13, sweets that make you forget. In the magical world of Harry Potter, not all sweet treats are as delightful as they might seem. While most candies and chocolates bring joy, there are some with rather peculiar and sometimes dangerous effects. One of the most unsettling types of sweets in the wizarding world are those sold at the mysterious shop known as the Memory Shop, or Tina Zavenia, the secret of forgetting. These candies have a special magical property. They make the eater forget. This strange and, in some cases, troubling magic has the ability to erase memories of uncomfortable or painful events, but at a price. The sweets are particularly popular among witches and wizards who want to escape the weight of unpleasant memories. Whether it's a fight with a friend, a lost love, or the trauma of a recent disaster, the magical confections offer an easy solution to forget the pain. The effect is instantaneous. Once consumed, the candy immediately begins to erase the painful memory. However, it isn't as simple as just erasing a moment of discomfort. The magic is volatile and it has the potential to wipe out more than just a bad experience. It can obliterate entire chunks of your past. For example, a wizard could decide to eat one of these candies after a particularly heartbreaking duel with a close friend. The memory of the argument would vanish, leaving the person free from the sting of regret and sorrow. But with it could vanish other, more significant memories, perhaps those that involve treasured friendships or crucial moments of personal growth. This loss of recollection can cause more harm than good, and it's not something one should take lightly. One of the most notable instances of such sweets causing trouble occurred during the war with Voldemort. The shop that sold these sweets, hidden in the back streets of Diagon Alley, was frequented by wizards trying to forget the horrors of the battles, the loss of loved ones, and the constant stress of life in wartime. It wasn't unusual for students from Hogwarts to wander in, hoping to forget their failed exams or the disappointment of not receiving their desired house placement. But as the war intensified, people began using these sweets to escape the darker memories, the horrors they'd witnessed, the lives they'd lost, and the emotional toll it had taken on their minds. Harry Potter himself faced a similar temptation when he discovered these sweets during a visit to Diagon Alley. After the events of his first year at Hogwarts, in which he had encountered the terrifying and soul-sucking Dementors, Harry was struggling with his own traumatic experiences. Though he never resorted to the memory shop's candies, he was well aware of their existence and the dangers they posed. "I'll never forget what they did to me," Harry thought to himself, pondering the ability of the sweets to erase such vivid memories. He knew better than to erase the pain of his past, as it was those very experiences that had shaped who he was, for better or worse. Even so, the temptation lingered, as it does for many who are haunted by the ghosts of their pasts. Despite the temptation, these sweets come with a warning: they are highly unpredictable. Even a small lapse in judgment can lead to the erasure of something crucial, like a forgotten love, a bond with a family member, or a significant event that could change the course of one's life. The idea that one could forget an entire year of schoolwork or an important lesson learned from a wise mentor is deeply troubling. After all, not all experiences are meant to be erased, and the consequences of forgetting something valuable can be far-reaching. The most dangerous aspect of these sweets is their ability to manipulate the mind. Memory is not just a collection of facts or images, it is the foundation of identity. Erasing pieces of one's history can alter the very nature of who they are. As Dumbledore once said, it is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. A choice to erase a painful memory might seem like an easy way out, but it is the sum of our experiences, including the painful ones, that define us. In the book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Harry is confronted with a moment of emotional turmoil when he sees the anguish of others around him. However, instead of choosing to erase those feelings, he chooses to confront them head-on, knowing that doing so will allow him to grow stronger. The idea of simply forgetting is a dangerous one, and Harry, even as a young boy, recognizes that some things are better left to be remembered, no matter how painful they may be. It is perhaps the case of a certain famous wizard that serves as a cautionary tale about the use of these sweets. Tom Riddle, later known as Voldemort, was notorious for erasing memories that he found inconvenient. His refusal to acknowledge the humanity within him, especially the love he once had for his parents, led him down a dark path. The inability to embrace his past and learn from it caused him to abandon any chance of redemption. The use of magic to forget was not an option for him, it was a necessity as he saw it. But in erasing the pain of his origins, Voldemort also erased the very part of himself that could have saved him from becoming the monster he ultimately became. Number 14. Sweets that change taste buds. In the wizarding world, the magical delights sold in the shops of Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade have long captured the imaginations of witches and wizards. These confections are more than mere treats for the tongue. They are portals to experiences that defy the laws of nature. Among these peculiar sweets, one stands out for its extraordinary ability to change a person's perception of taste, the infamous invisible cakes. Unlike any other dessert in the magical world, these mysterious confections are known to alter the very essence of what you experience with each bite. The invisible cakes found on the shelves of magical bakeries, like the renowned honeydukes, are not your average pastries. When consumed, they do not just deliver the taste one might expect, like chocolate or vanilla. Instead, they transform every flavor into something entirely different. It's as if the laws of taste itself are turned upside down. One moment, you could be enjoying a rich chocolate cake, but with the next bite, that same cake could become a mixture of flavors so unfamiliar, so unearthly, that it feels as though you've crossed into another realm of taste altogether. The experience is not just a sensory one, but a journey into the unknown where familiar foods dissolve into a swirling vortex of new and strange flavors. To fully grasp the wonder of these pastries, imagine a bite of a pie that shifts with every nibble. At first, it may taste like nothing you've ever had before, a flavor that combines the rich sweetness of caramel with the sharp tang of lemon. But as you chew, the flavor morphs into something else entirely. A taste you can't quite describe, one that could never exist in the Muggle world. This unpredictable nature of the invisible cakes has made them a favorite among witches and wizards with a penchant for the unusual and adventurous. These sweets are not just for anyone, they are for those who seek to explore the vastness of flavor and perhaps even the vastness of the magical world itself. In fact, these confections have become a favorite among the elite of the wizarding world, from seasoned food critics to healers who use them in their work. Healers, in particular, have found these sweets invaluable for their therapeutic properties. By altering the taste perception of a patient, a healer can stimulate certain mental and emotional responses, providing an innovative way to heal both body and mind. For example, one healer, an accomplished potion master named Madame Sprout, uses the cakes in her practice to help patients suffering from emotional distress. When consumed, the invisible cakes can evoke feelings of calmness and joy, effectively lifting the spirits of those in need of emotional healing. Moreover, the cakes have been observed to change not only the flavor but the texture and consistency of the food in your mouth. The effects are so profound that some wizards believe the cakes hold the power to unlock new forms of sensory experience. The magic of the invisible cake works on the tongue, the senses, and even the emotions, reshaping how the eater perceives the very world around them. For example, a simple apple pie could suddenly feel as though it's made of the finest gold, each bite more delightful than the last, or it could morph into a savory dish that hints at the taste of the ocean. The possibilities are endless. But what makes these confections even more mysterious is their ability to respond to the eater's mood. This trait has fascinated many and led to a surge of interest in the cakes as a way of understanding the deeper connections between food, magic, and emotion. Just as a sour mood can make the flavors of a meal taste bitter, an optimistic and joyful spirit can turn any food into a feast fit for royalty. With the invisible cakes, this concept is taken to an extreme. The cakes seem to have a magical sensitivity, shifting to mirror the emotional state of the person consuming them. If you're feeling sad, the taste may turn melancholic, a bittersweet reminder of the sadness you carry. But if your heart is light, the cake transforms into something utterly delightful, filling you with warmth and joy. This ability to shift flavors based on emotion is not just a simple trick, it's a magical phenomenon that some believe could unlock deeper connections between mind and body. Many of the world's most skilled potion masters have theorized that the cakes could be used in potion making to create brews that directly affect a person's mood. With the right combination, the cakes could be the key to unlocking new forms of magical healing, offering a revolutionary method of treatment that blends food and magic in ways never before imagined. The cake's popularity has also led to their use in high society, particularly among witches and wizards who pride themselves on their ability to discern the finest things in life. These sweets have become a symbol of sophistication, a way to show one's refined taste and willingness to embrace the extraordinary. At high-profile gatherings, invisible cakes are often served to guests as a form of entertainment. When one eats the cake, the resulting burst of flavors becomes a conversation piece, with each person sharing their unique experience. For example, at a recent soiree at the Weasley twins' joke shop, guests were given invisible cakes as part of the entertainment. The reactions were spectacular, with each guest's experience being vastly different, ranging from an explosion of flavors reminiscent of fireworks to a comforting taste that reminded them of their childhood homes. Number 15. Molecular chocolate. In the magical world of witches and wizards, where spellcasting and potion brewing are a common part of life, there are many delightful and sometimes bizarre elements that make the everyday experience seem extraordinary. Among the fascinating creations that have captured the imagination of the wizarding world, molecular chocolate stands out as a truly unusual treat. At first glance, these candies appear to be nothing more than a simple block of chocolate, but as with much in the wizarding world, appearances can be deceiving. The chocolate, once broken or altered, reveals layers of complexity and magic that are entirely unexpected, offering a one-of-a-kind experience for anyone brave enough to dive into its mystery. Molecular chocolate is not just another confectionery item, it is a marvel of magical innovation. The candy, while resembling the shape and texture of a typical chocolate bar, is made up of countless tiny molecules, each one individually crafted to provide a unique sensory experience. These molecules are not static like those in Muggle chocolate, but rather dynamic and reactive to the application of magic. A wizard or witch who casts a specific spell can break apart the molecular structure of the chocolate, causing it to release an entirely new array of flavors with every alteration. The experience changes each time, depending on the magic used, much like a constantly evolving potion. One bite could taste like rich berries, the next might have a salty tang, and sometimes it could even present a flavor that is entirely unlike anything experienced before. This highly experimental treat was born from the minds of wizarding alchemists, the great masters of both magic and science. These scholars of the arcane have long explored the intersections of magic and chemistry, often pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The creation of molecular chocolate was a natural progression of their work, combining their deep understanding of potion-making and magical properties with a touch of culinary artistry. It's said that the first successful batch of this candy was created in the late 19th century by a prominent alchemist named Horace Elgin, whose fascination with both the magical and the scientific led him to experiment with new ways of transforming flavor using spells and potions. Horace Elgin was no stranger to the halls of Hogwarts, having visited the school many times in his youth to observe and study the more practical uses of magic. Though his time there was never as a student, his influence on the wizarding world was immeasurable. It was he who discovered the secret behind molecular chocolate, while experimenting with the transformation of common ingredients into substances that were not only consumable but also dynamic and ever-changing. His process involved the infusion of specific magical ingredients, such as essence of dreamroot, and the use of charms designed to stabilize and control the molecular structure of what would otherwise be a simple chocolate bar. The result was a confectionery that was part candy, part experience, and entirely magical. As time passed, molecular chocolate's popularity soared, particularly among the more daring and adventurous witches and wizards who enjoyed experimenting with their senses. In the bustling alleys of Diagon Alley, particularly within the walls of the Weasley twins' joke shop, there are occasional rumors of this candy being sold under the table, despite its somewhat controversial status. It is said that those who are bold enough to test the boundaries of flavor with this candy often find themselves at the mercy of unpredictable magic. A sudden taste of smoke might appear when a spell goes awry, or a hint of vinegar could replace the sweetness. Some even claim that those who are adept at potion making can control the candy's flavors with great precision, while others find the whole process an unpredictable mystery. In the hands of skilled practitioners, however, the candy can be a thing of wonder. Much like an intricate potion, the flavors can be mixed, matched, and manipulated to achieve the perfect taste. Experienced wizards are able to direct the flavors in different directions, exploring combinations that range from the sweet to the savory. One well-known example of this mastery comes from the Hogwarts professor, Phileas Flitwick, who is known to regularly gift his students with molecular chocolate, explaining to them that magic, when applied to even the simplest things, can create an entirely new experience. For Flitwick, the treat is a reminder of the ever-expanding boundaries of magical possibility, a lesson in the art of playful experimentation. Not only is molecular chocolate a treat for the senses, but it has also become a sort of status symbol in the wizarding world. Among the elite circles of magical society, there are whispers of secret gatherings where molecular chocolate is served alongside rare potions, providing an elegant yet whimsical touch to otherwise formal occasions. The candy's ability to captivate and surprise makes it a perfect fit for high society events, where guests might savor the treat while also discussing the finer points of magical theory or the latest wizarding gossip. Despite its allure, molecular chocolate has not been without its controversies. Some critics argue that it takes magic too far, reducing the beauty of traditional wizarding sweets like Bertie Bott's every flavor beans or chocolate frogs to mere laboratory experiments. There have even been whispers in the halls of the Ministry of Magic about the potential dangers of a candy that can shift its flavor at will, especially when used by those who do not understand its true nature. A few incidents have even been reported where the chocolate has been used in conjunction with darker spells, leading to unpredictable and sometimes dangerous results. Nonetheless, for every detractor, there are many who embrace the creative potential of molecular chocolate. The key to understanding it lies in recognizing that it is not simply a piece of candy, but a symbol of magical discovery. It is a testament to how magic can be applied to all aspects of life, even the seemingly mundane, in order to unlock new layers of experience. As the famous potion maker and alchemist Bathilda Bagshot once remarked, magic is a tool of transformation, and when used wisely, it can turn even the simplest of things into a masterpiece. One of the more fascinating aspects of molecular chocolate is its potential for customization. Some wizards have begun to develop personalized versions of the candy, tailoring the molecular makeup to suit their particular tastes. There are rumors of potion brewers who have developed their own special combinations, using rare magical herbs or ingredients from distant lands to enhance the chocolate's already impressive repertoire of flavors. It is said that these bespoke versions of molecular chocolate are so potent that they can evoke memories of long-forgotten moments or even induce vivid dreams, depending on the magic infused into them. This has made them particularly sought after among collectors and connoisseurs of fine, magical goods. For those who wish to try molecular chocolate without fully committing to the complexity of its magical manipulation, there are now more stable versions available, sold by specialized vendors in places like the Magical Menagerie and Honeydukes. These varieties do not require spells to be cast to experience their remarkable flavors, but instead allow the candy to provide a random burst of taste upon being eaten. Though not as customizable as their magical counterparts, these versions of molecular chocolate still offer an exciting and unpredictable experience, making them a popular choice for those new to the world of enchanted sweets. Despite the complexity and mystery of molecular chocolate, its appeal remains undeniable. It is a representation of the boundless creativity and innovation that exists within the magical world, a world where even the simplest of pleasures can be turned into an extraordinary experience. It is a candy that invites discovery, experimentation, and, above all, a sense of wonder, reminding all who partake of it that in magic there are no limits to what can be achieved. Number 16. Green Gels. In the heart of the magical world, where the air is thick with enchantments and the streets are lined with bizarre wonders, there lies a sweet treat that even the most seasoned witches and wizards approach with caution: the enigmatic green gels. These strange pulsating candies are unlike anything one might find in the mundane shops of Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade. No, the green gels are a rare confection crafted from a plant that only thrives in the hidden, shadowy corners of the Forbidden Forest. For those brave enough to seek them out, they promise an experience like no other, one that mingles the potent power of nature with the delicate balance of magic itself. The origin of the green gels is shrouded in mystery, much like many of the magical items in the wizarding world. Some say they were first discovered by a reclusive herbalist who had a particular affinity for the obscure flora that thrived deep within the Forbidden Forest. This herbalist, a witch by the name of Orla Forley, was known for her experiments with rare plants, some of which were rumoured to have properties that could alter the very fabric of magical spells. Orla, in her infinite curiosity, stumbled upon a plant whose leaves shimmered with an iridescent glow, and from these leaves she began crafting the first batches of green gels. The plants that produce the main ingredient of these candies are known as Vitae herbalis, a name few wizards recognize, but one that holds deep significance in the world of potion making. The Vitae herbalis is a rare species that grows in the most obscure regions of the Forbidden Forest, areas so remote that even the centaurs avoid them. The plant's leaves possess an eerie glow, and they exude a potent magical energy. When consumed in small amounts, this energy does not harm the consumer, but instead enhances their senses. The candy itself is created by harvesting the herb's essence, which is then transformed into a gelatinous form. However, it is the effects of these green gels that have made them infamous in the wizarding world. When consumed, the green gels begin to dissolve slowly in the stomach, their gelatinous texture melting away like the most delicate of sweets. But this is where the magic truly begins. As the candy dissolves, it releases a unique magic that seems to bond with the very essence of the eater's body. Suddenly, the eater experiences an overwhelming sensation. Every plant that has ever been used in potion making, every herb, root, and flower becomes tangible. The eater feels as though they are experiencing the flavor of every plant they've ever encountered in their magical education, as though they can taste the properties of every herb they've ever handled, from the subtle tang of fluxweed to the deep, earthy undertones of powdered dragon liver. But the magic doesn't stop there. It goes even further. As the green gels travel through the digestive system, the effects intensify. The taste becomes more vivid, more all-encompassing. It's as though the eater can feel the essence of the plant inside them, as though they've consumed the very spirit of nature itself. This sensation can be overwhelming. A wizard who has studied potion making for years might suddenly feel as though every brew they've ever crafted is swirling within their body. The sensation of each spell, each incantation ever uttered, might wash over them. It is said that even the simplest levitation charm could leave an aftertaste as potent as the brew of a cauldron full of polyjuice potion. The story of the famous Aura Galen Whitewood offers a perfect example of the overwhelming effects of the green gels. Whitewood, known for his expert work in tracking down dark wizards, was once given a small vial of green gels by an eccentric potion master who swore that the candy would help him enhance his senses for an upcoming mission. He had heard rumors about the strange effects of the sweets, but being a skeptic, Whitewood dismissed them as fanciful tales. The first few minutes after consuming the candy seemed harmless enough, and the initial burst of flavor was almost pleasant, reminding him of the fresh, citrusy taste of gillyweed. However, within moments, things began to take a turn. The taste of gillyweed quickly turned into something far more complex, and the deep, rich flavor of belladonna seemed to take over his senses. Whitewood, who had spent years working with poisons and antidotes, suddenly felt as though the very essence of each ingredient he had ever used in his work was surging through his body. His mind swirled with memories of each magical plant he had ever worked with. The aftertaste of every spell he had ever cast clung to his tongue. It was as if every potion he had brewed, every antidote he had crafted, was alive inside him, filling his senses to the brim. But the true peril of the green gels isn't just in the overwhelming nature of the experience, it lies in the risk of overindulgence. The effects of the candy are not always predictable, and the amount of flavor one experiences can vary from person to person. A young wizard with little experience in potion making may only feel mild sensations of flavor and magic, while a seasoned witch or wizard who has dabbled in more potent and dangerous brews may find themselves engulfed in an overpowering wave of taste and sensation. This is a danger that many fail to understand when first encountering the green gels. It is said that the candy's ability to tap into a wizard's magical memory is what makes it so dangerous. Some have reported feeling overwhelmed by the sudden rush of magical experiences, while others have found themselves experiencing vivid, unsettling visions from their past. One infamous case involved a young witch named Elara Penn. Penn, a graduate of Beauxbatons Academy of Magic, had always been intrigued by the green gels and the idea of reliving the sensory experiences of potion making. However, after consuming a single candy, she began to experience flashbacks of her earliest lessons in transfiguration, only to find that the tastes began to blend with the emotions tied to those memories. The sweet tang of peppermint transfigured into a sickly bitterness, and the sharp zest of powdered moonstone turned into the taste of fear, as though the magic itself was turning on her. Wizards and witches who have indulged in the green gels too frequently have reported prolonged side effects, such as an unnerving sensitivity to magical ingredients or a heightened awareness of the most mundane spells. These effects can be so intense that it interferes with a wizard's ability to perform even the simplest of charms. Some report a feeling of vertigo when casting spells, as though the magic itself is too much to bear. In the most extreme cases, individuals have been known to lose their magical abilities temporarily, as the overwhelming rush of magical sensations disrupts the natural flow of their magical core. The green gels have become something of a cult curiosity in the wizarding world. They are sold only in the most exclusive shops, and even then, they are often reserved for those who have demonstrated a deep knowledge of potion making and magical plants. It is a delicacy that, while intriguing, remains one of the most dangerous and unpredictable sweets in existence. There's a saying among witches and wizards who have sampled the green gels: the sweetest treats often come with the most bitter aftertaste. The experience may be tantalizing, but it can also leave an indelible mark on one's magical essence, a reminder of the delicate balance between magic and nature. The temptation to taste the forgotten herbs of the magical world is great, but for those who dare, they must always remember the risk that comes with every sweet bite. Number 17, lollipops with predictions. The magical world of Harry Potter is full of oddities and peculiarities, from enchanted broomsticks to time-turners, but few magical treats are as intriguing and mystifying as the prediction lollipops. These seemingly innocent sweets have captured the curiosity of many a witch and wizard, drawn in by the promise of glimpsing their futures. However, as with many things in the wizarding world, the true nature of these candies is far more complex than one might imagine. When you first bite into a prediction lollipop, it doesn't immediately reveal its magical properties. At first glance, it's just another colourful swirled candy, but as soon as your tongue makes contact, something extraordinary happens. The candy begins to change colour, shifting through a spectrum of hues: blue, green, purple, each one more vibrant than the last. The swirling colours move hypnotically, drawing the eye in ways no ordinary candy ever could. But the real magic happens when the centre of the lollipop begins to glow softly, revealing a tiny, magical scroll inside. The scroll, though small, unfurls itself with a gentle hiss, and you can hear faint whispers coming from it, as though the very essence of time is speaking directly to you. These are not random words. These are fragments of possible futures, glimpses of what might come to pass. The whispers may speak of mundane events. Your morning will be cloudy tomorrow, or more cryptic utterances. A decision in the near future will change the course of your life forever. The predictions can vary from the trivial to the profound, and often they are far more enigmatic than anyone could expect. One of the most famous accounts of a prediction lollipop comes from a wizard named Edgar Thistleby, a well-known practitioner of divination at the time of Harry Potter's school years. Edgar had been a regular customer at Honeyduke's, purchasing lollipops with the hope of foreseeing his future. Over time, he came to rely on the candies more and more, trusting them to help him navigate his life. One day, after a particularly intense lollipop session, Edgar found himself staring at a glowing purple center. The scroll within, when read aloud, revealed, "The answer you seek lies within a place long forgotten." Edgar, bewildered by this cryptic message, began an exhaustive search, convinced that some long-lost artifact or secret was waiting to be discovered. Despite Edgar's relentless efforts, he never found anything resembling the forgotten place. His frustration grew, and he began to doubt the lollipop's accuracy. Yet years later, he realized that the true meaning of the prediction was not about a physical object at all, but about his emotional journey, his search for meaning in a life full of uncertainties. The scroll had guided him not to a treasure, but toward a deeper understanding of himself. This story serves as a testament to the strange and sometimes misleading nature of these magical candies. The future they reveal is often less concrete than one might expect, and more about guiding the seeker on a path of personal reflection. In the wizarding world, predictions made by these candies are often taken with a grain of salt, not always believed to be infallible. The prophecy contained within each lollipop is considered to be more of a suggestion than an absolute certainty. This becomes especially evident when you observe the patterns of those who consume these lollipops. For instance, Gilderoy Lockhart, the flamboyant Defense Against the Dark Arts professor at Hogwarts, famously became obsessed with these candies during his brief stint as a star in the wizarding world. He once admitted to having eaten dozens of them in one sitting, hoping for a glimpse into his future fame. But even with all his indulgence in these magical treats, Lockhart found that the predictions were often muddled or nonsensical. "You will lose a friend to your own carelessness," one prediction warned him, but it didn't specify who. "A shadow will cross your path, but not all shadows are dangerous," another cryptic message declared. It was clear that the lollipops were not giving him the direct answers he craved. Despite his frustration, Lockhart continued to consume them, unwilling to acknowledge that the candy was not a tool for solving his vanity-driven problems, but a lesson in patience and humility. Indeed, the ambiguity of the predictions is one of the main reasons that the lollipops are so popular, particularly among witches and wizards who feel that they must always know what is coming next. The truth, however, is that these candies only offer a taste of the future, and even then it is not always the future you want to see. The nature of their magic is unpredictable, and it is said that they often present possibilities rather than certainties. One wizard may be told that they will receive an unexpected inheritance, while another might hear that they will face a great challenge within a week, leaving them with a sense of unease and uncertainty. Even within the halls of Hogwarts, the prediction lollipops have left their mark. Take, for instance, the time when Neville Longbottom was handed one of the lollipops during a Hogsmeade trip. As he licked the candy, the familiar transformation began, with colours swirling rapidly before a glowing parchment revealed itself. The scroll, when read aloud, whispered, "Your courage will be tested when the shadows fall." At first, Neville was terrified. Surely something awful was about to happen. But as the weeks passed, he began to realize that the prediction did not refer to any physical danger. It was a reflection of his internal struggles, his own fears and doubts about his place in the wizarding world. It wasn't until the Battle of Hogwarts, when Neville stood up to Voldemort's forces and played a crucial role in the defeat of the Dark Lord, that he understood the meaning of the prediction. The candies are more than just a way to pass the time. They serve as a reminder that the future is never set in stone. Each prediction is but a flicker of possibility, a brief moment of clarity before the path ahead becomes obscured once more. For some, the lollipops represent a way to comfort themselves in the face of uncertainty, a temporary escape from the overwhelming chaos of the present. For others, they are a challenge, a puzzle to be solved in order to gain insight into their destiny. But despite the mystery that surrounds these candies, one thing is certain: they have become a part of the fabric of the magical world. Even though they cannot be relied upon for precise predictions, their allure remains undiminished. The sense of wonder that comes with seeing the colours shift and the scroll unfurl is an experience that many witches and wizards are unwilling to give up. The lollipops have become a symbol of the deep human desire to understand the unknown, even when that understanding is elusive or incomplete. The lollipop's true charm lies not in the accuracy of its predictions, but in the sense of possibility it evokes. In a world where the future often seems like a vast, unknowable expanse, these small, magical treats offer a tantalizing glimpse at the paths we might take. Whether the lollipops provide wisdom, confusion, or even frustration, they are a reminder that the future is always shifting, always changing, and always just out of reach, no matter how many candies you lick. Number 18, Bloody Sorbet. In the wizarding world, where magic manifests in every corner of life, from the most enchanting spells to the most peculiar of ingredients, there exists a sweet treat that defies explanation and sparks intrigue among all who encounter it: the blood sorbet. A dessert not for the faint-hearted, the blood sorbet has earned its place among the most exotic and controversial confections. Its reputation is as bold as its flavor, and its allure lies not only in its taste, but in the whispered stories of its origins and its effect on those brave enough to indulge. At first glance, the blood sorbet might appear as an innocuous frozen dessert, perhaps like any other fruit-based sorbet served at feasts in the Great Hall or at the Leaky Cauldron. Yet the moment one sets eyes on it, there is something distinctly otherworldly about its appearance. Its deep crimson hue is so vivid that it almost seems to pulse with an inner light, making it stand out against the usual desserts of the wizarding world. The base of the sorbet is crafted from a mixture of enchanted fruits, rare and hard to come by even in the most well-stocked magical markets. These fruits, harvested under specific lunar conditions, are infused with spells that alter their inherent flavors, lending the sorbet its unusual richness. However, it is the inclusion of one ingredient that truly sets the blood sorbet apart: the extract of the blood tree, a mythical plant known only to a select few in the magical community. This tree, though said to grow deep within the forbidden forest, is not something that even the bravest of wizards often encounter. The blood tree, with its bark resembling the red of freshly spilled blood, and its fruit bearing a dark, almost foreboding hue, is a plant steeped in mystery. Its name alone evokes a sense of danger, for the fruit it produces is said to have properties that can send ripples of sensation throughout the body. The blood sorbet is made using a special blend of blood tree fruit extracts, which must be handled with care, as it is not simply the flavor of the fruit that lends this treat its allure, but the strange magical effects that come with consuming it. The moment the sorbet touches one's lips, there is an immediate and curious sensation, a tingling, almost electric sensation that spreads through the body. It's not unpleasant, but it is certainly unexpected. The sensation causes the skin to prickle, as though tiny currents of magic are coursing through the veins. It is this phenomenon that often leaves people questioning the true nature of the sorbet. Is it simply a well-executed charm that affects the senses, or is there something darker, something more sinister, lurking within the dessert's enchantments? Though it is easy to dismiss the blood sorbet as nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion, those who have tasted it and survived to tell the tale speak of an experience that is nothing short of extraordinary. They describe how, after the initial burst of tingling sensation, the flavor of the sorbet unfolds in layers, each one more complex and unexpected than the last. The first note is sweet, not unlike a perfectly ripe raspberry, but with an underlying undertone of something sharper, something almost metallic. As the sorbet melts on the tongue, the sweetness gives way to an unexpected depth, a tangy richness that only deepens as the flavors linger. Despite its reputation, the blood sorbet is not without its devotees. To some it represents the pinnacle of magical confections, an experience for the senses, a challenge for the palate. It is a dessert for true connoisseurs, those who seek out the unusual, the rare, the controversial. It's often found at the tables of the most exclusive wizarding events, served in small scoops, carefully portioned so as to not overwhelm those with weaker constitutions. The feeling it imparts is, for many, one of exhilaration, a temporary heightened awareness of the senses that lingers long after the last bite has been consumed. But of course, not everyone shares the enthusiasm for the blood sorbet. For some, the sorbet's effects can be too much to bear. It is said that the sorbet's effects can amplify certain magical traits, heightening the drinker's sensitivity to magic. Some wizards report feeling a strange buzzing in their magical core, as though their very essence is resonating with the magical world around them. Others have noted an increase in their ability to sense hidden enchantments, an ability that, though fascinating, can be disorienting for those unprepared for such a profound connection to the magical fabric of the world. This heightened sensitivity, though a wonder for many, has led to some cautionary tales. One such story involves a young witch named Ophelia Granger, a distant relative of Hermione Granger, who attended one of the first magical banquets where the blood sorbet was served. Described as an otherwise unremarkable dessert at the time, Ophelia's experience with the sorbet became the stuff of legend. After taking a spoonful, Ophelia reportedly felt a wave of energy surge through her, causing her to lose her balance and knock over several dishes at the table. Her outburst was followed by an eerie silence, as every guest in the room could sense the disturbance in the air, an unsettling awareness that lingered for hours. The blood sorbet, it seemed, had awakened something in her that even she had not known existed. For many, this serves as a cautionary reminder of the power of magical ingredients and the enchantments that can be woven into even the simplest of pleasures. Yet, despite the potential dangers, the blood sorbet continues to intrigue and captivate the curious minds of the wizarding world. Some even believe that the sorbet's effects can be controlled with enough practice, and that with time one can master the delicate balance between enjoyment and overstimulation. Despite the occasional accident, the blood sorbet has found its way into the hands of many elite members of wizarding society who consider it a symbol of status, sophistication, and daring. The sorbet is often served at prestigious events such as the Yule Ball or the annual fundraiser at the Leaky Cauldron. For these occasions it is customarily accompanied by a fine glass of enchanted wine, a pairing meant to complement the sorbet's unusual effects. Those in attendance are often seen enjoying their portions with a mix of fascination and caution, savouring the complexity of the treat while remaining fully aware of its potential to surprise them. The legacy of the blood sorbet is firmly entrenched in the history of magical desserts, a testament to the creativity and daring of wizards and witches who sought to push the boundaries of taste and sensation. Its place in wizarding culture is assured even if its exact origins remain unclear. Some theorize that the blood sorbet was first created by a long-forgotten alchemist who used the blood tree's fruit in an attempt to harness its unique magical properties. Others believe that it was invented by a group of mischievous wizards whose goal was to create the most thrilling and mysterious dessert in all of wizarding cuisine. Despite the lack of clarity regarding its creation, one thing is certain. The blood sorbet is a dessert that challenges the norms of magical gastronomy, offering those brave enough to partake in it a taste of something truly extraordinary. Whether it is a carefully crafted illusion or something more, the blood sorbet remains one of the most enigmatic and coveted treats in the magical world, a sweet mystery that continues to captivate those who dare to experience it. Number 19. Time-gobbling lollipops. In the magical world of Harry Potter, where wizards and witches regularly interact with spells, potions, and magical creatures, some enchanted items stand out not because of their power, but because of their unusual effects. Among these strange objects, the Time Turner is perhaps one of the most famous, allowing its user to manipulate time itself. But there is another peculiar magical item that even fewer are aware of: the time-swallowing lollipops. These candies are not just a whimsical treat, but rather a source of fascination among many witches and wizards who seek to play with the flow of time itself. The lollipops are a rare and highly coveted confection, produced only in a select few high-end magical candy shops, and their purpose is both simple and extraordinary. When consumed, they give the eater the ability to alter their perception of time, either speeding it up or slowing it down for a brief period. For a few precious minutes after eating the candy, the consumer experiences the sensation that time is either dragging on slowly or rushing forward too quickly, creating a curious illusion of temporal control. The effect is subtle but profound. For instance, someone who needs to finish a task in a short time might find that with a few minutes of sped-up time, they suddenly manage to accomplish far more than they thought possible. Conversely, when the need arises to slow things down, the lollipop can make a few minutes seem to stretch into an eternity, allowing its user to savor a moment or perhaps delay an unpleasant event. One of the most notable instances of these lollipops being used in the wizarding world occurred during the Battle of Hogwarts. A lesser-known story from this period involved a young witch named Beatrice Radley, who was known for her uncanny ability to use time manipulation for small-scale advantages. Radley had acquired a time-swallowing lollipop from a prestigious magical candy shop in Diagon Alley and was said to have used it during the height of the battle. The battle was chaotic, with every minute feeling stretched to its maximum limit, as spells flew through the air, and Hogwarts' defenders were under constant attack. Radley, finding herself in a particularly tight spot, unwrapped the lollipop and ate it quickly, feeling the familiar rush of the temporal shift. For several minutes, it felt as though the entire world around her had slowed, and she was able to take advantage of this to carefully position herself and execute a spell that ultimately turned the tide of the battle in a small but crucial way. Despite their seemingly innocent nature, these lollipops come with a heavy warning. The magical community is well aware of the dangers that come with using them too frequently. The most significant danger is the risk of permanent bodily or mental harm if the lollipops are abused. Excessive use can cause a reversal of the effect, leading to rapid aging or, in some extreme cases, a total collapse of the user's physical processes. A well-known case in the 1970s involved a wizard named Edgar Stillwater, who became so obsessed with the idea of extending his personal time that he consumed time-swallowing lollipops several times a day. At first, the effects were subtle. His hair seemed to grow thicker and darker, and his movements appeared more fluid, as if time itself was stretching in his favor. However, as the weeks went on, Stillwater began to show signs of rapid aging. His skin became wrinkled, his joints stiffened, and before long, he was a mere shadow of his former self. The magical community could do little to reverse the effects, and Stillwater was eventually forced to retire from active wizardry, forever marked by his reckless use of time manipulation. The time-swallowing lollipops are, therefore, considered a powerful but dangerous tool, only to be used when absolutely necessary. They are a reminder of the delicate balance of the universe, that time, while malleable, is not to be trifled with. Some magical families, particularly those with a penchant for rare and exotic sweets, keep these candies locked away, used sparingly for moments of extreme need, such as during intense magical exams or when one needs to escape a particularly unbearable situation. The Potters, for example, were known to have had a supply of these candies during the early years of their marriage, using them to allow themselves brief moments of respite while juggling the stresses of their dual lives as parents and prominent members of the wizarding community. The lollipops themselves are uniquely crafted, their surface glimmering with a subtle magic that seems to shimmer with every turn of the head. They are typically a translucent shade of purple, with faint swirls of gold that twist through the candy like the passage of time itself. The flavor is often described as both sweet and tangy, with an undertone that some say tastes like time itself, elusive and impossible to grasp. Some witches and wizards believe that this unique flavor is a clue to the deep magic embedded within the candy, as though it were a tangible representation of the flow of time, both fluid and ever-changing. Despite their magical properties, the lollipops are not immune to the laws of the wizarding world. The effects they produce are subtle enough to be mistaken for mere coincidence, yet anyone who has experienced them firsthand can attest to their strange, otherworldly qualities. It is said that those who are particularly attuned to magic, such as highly skilled witches and wizards, or those with a natural talent for time-related charms, can experience more pronounced effects when eating the lollipops. For instance, Professor McGonagall, known for her mastery of transfiguration and her understanding of magical theory, is said to have once used a time-swallowing lollipop during a particularly grueling meeting at the Ministry of Magic. The time dilation allowed her to quickly review important paperwork in what felt like the span of hours, giving her the upper hand in an ongoing bureaucratic negotiation. One cannot help but wonder about the origins of such an enigmatic candy. How was it first discovered, and by whom? The exact history of the time-swallowing lollipop remains a mystery, though there are whispers of an ancient magical order known as the Temporal Circle, rumoured to have been the first creators of the candy. According to some records, this secretive group of wizards was dedicated to studying time magic and developing potions and charms that allowed them to manipulate time in small, precise ways. The Temporal Circle is thought to have dissolved centuries ago, but the legacy of their work lives on in the form of the lollipops. Their true purpose, however, remains uncertain. Were they designed as a tool to help those who lived in times of war, or were they intended for more personal, less altruistic purposes? In the world of Harry Potter, where time is often a theme, explored through the lens of magical tools and enchanted objects, the time-swallowing lollipops offer a unique glimpse into the potential for manipulation of one of the most elusive aspects of life, time itself. Their power, their subtlety, and their dangers all serve as a reminder that magic, for all its wonder and charm, can often be unpredictable, and the consequences of tampering with forces beyond one's control can be far-reaching. Perhaps, in the end, it is the very brevity of the candy's effect that makes it so alluring. A fleeting moment of power in an otherwise unpredictable world. Number 20. Living Candy. The wizarding world of Harry Potter is a realm full of wonders where magic infuses every aspect of life, even the most mundane pleasures like sweets. However, not all magical treats are merely a result of some flick of a wand or a charming spell. Some are imbued with the essence of life itself, sentient, responsive, and at times unpredictable. One such sweet is the curious living berry drops, or ożywczy jagody, a delicacy that blends magic with nature in a most peculiar and somewhat alarming way. These small, jewel-like candies are made from an enchanted berry that, when consumed, begins to come to life inside your mouth. They are not like ordinary sweets that dissolve in your mouth or leave a pleasant aftertaste. These magical treats have a dynamic, living essence that causes them to respond to their environment, more specifically, to the emotions and intentions of the person who consumes them. The berries, originally plucked from a special species of plant, are carefully preserved and transfigured into candies by expert wizards who understand the art of life-altering spells. The process of transformation from a simple berry into a candy is itself an example of advanced transfiguration magic, which allows the berry to retain its inherent life force even after being transformed into a sweet. When you place one of these living berry drops in your mouth, the first sensation is always surprising. Unlike the typical sugary burst you might expect from any normal candy, these berries begin to pulse and shift inside your mouth. They do not simply melt, they react. If the berry feels at ease, if the eater is calm and joyful, the berry becomes sweet, juicy, and incredibly flavorful, releasing an exquisite, almost hypnotic sweetness. But this sweetness is not the only experience the berry can offer. Should the berry sense discomfort or unease, it responds by becoming bitter or even sour, turning the flavor into something rather unpleasant. This transformation is part of its very nature, and in certain cases it can even be dangerous, as the berry might unexpectedly become overbearingly sour or sharp. What makes the living berry drops so fascinating and at times dangerous is their ability to sense and react to the mood of the person eating them. The magic that gives the berry life also gives it a level of autonomy that no regular sweet can possess. While this makes the candy unique and highly sought after by those curious about magical food, it also makes them somewhat unpredictable. They are a challenge for any wizard or witch brave enough to eat them, as they test one's ability to maintain control over their emotions, much like some of the more advanced transfiguration spells. The person consuming the berry needs to be focused and composed, or else the berry may take on a life of its own, with consequences ranging from a sharp jolt of acidity to a complete breakdown of the candy's structure, where the berry might transform into something completely different altogether. The origin of the living berry drops is as magical as the sweets themselves. Legend has it that these berries were discovered by a group of pioneering magi zoologists who stumbled upon them deep in the forbidden forest while investigating the elusive magical plants that thrived in its hidden groves. The berries were initially found as part of a rare plant species whose fruit was believed to hold a faint connection to the essence of life itself. This connection, however, was not immediately understood by the discoverers. It was only after the fruit was transfigured into its candy form that it became apparent that something extraordinary had occurred. Rather than simply becoming a typical piece of confectionery, the berry retained its sentience and unique personality, reacting to those who consumed it. A famed wizard, Professor Phaedra Loring, a scholar of transfiguration and magical botany, is credited with first experimenting with the berries and developing the process that allows them to be safely, and not so safely, consumed as candy. Her work is highly regarded within the wizarding community, though some have questioned the ethics of creating such living, sentient sweets. Even she, in her research, acknowledged that while the berries could be a delightful treat when consumed in a calm and controlled environment, they could also be hazardous in the hands of an inexperienced wizard or a person unable to maintain control over their emotions. The berries' unpredictability has led to some accidents, and their reputation as a potentially dangerous snack has made them controversial. There have been instances in which the berries have become overly aggressive or misbehaved during consumption, particularly if the person eating them was stressed or frightened. One infamous case occurred at the Wizarding Academy of Transfiguration, where a young student named Augustus Grindwell, eager to impress his classmates, consumed several living berry drops without properly controlling his emotions. As the berries began to react to his nervousness, they became violently sour, causing him to spit them out in frustration. The students in the class, meanwhile, watched in amazement as the berries began to take on strange, new forms, transforming into a wild mixture of shapes and textures before finally bursting into a cloud of smoke. Despite their unpredictability, the living berry drops remain a sought-after treat, primarily for their novelty and the challenge they present. Many witches and wizards collect them as a way to demonstrate their mastery of transfiguration magic or as a way to practice their emotional control. For some, eating these berries is a rite of passage, a way to prove that they have control over their feelings and their magical abilities. For others, it's simply a way to experience something truly unique within the wizarding world, something that combines the wonder of magic with the thrill of living sentient candy. The living berry drops are not only a challenge to the individual consuming them, but also to the wizard who creates them. The magic involved in their creation is far from simple. The transformation of the berry requires a deep understanding of transfiguration, as well as a profound knowledge of magical creatures and their inner workings. Those who make the berries must ensure that the transfigured fruit retains its essence and autonomy, while also being able to be consumed as a treat without causing harm. The difficulty of maintaining the balance between the magic that keeps the berry alive and the safety of the consumer has made these sweets a highly prized creation among master transfiguration wizards. While the living berry drops are most commonly enjoyed by adventurous witches and wizards in private settings, they have also made their way into the public eye through various magical markets and festivals. The annual Wizarding Confectionery Fair, for example, showcases a variety of magical treats, with living berry drops often being one of the main attractions. Here, expert chefs and candy makers demonstrate their skill in crafting the perfect batch of berries, carefully monitoring their transformation to ensure that the berries remain in a controlled state and offer a delightful, if unpredictable, experience for those brave enough to taste them. For all their charm and mystery, there are some who would argue that the living berry drops represent a more unsettling aspect of magical life. Their existence raises important questions about the ethics of creating sentient, living beings for the purpose of entertainment or consumption. The idea of using magic to imbue a berry with life raises concerns about the potential consequences of treating magical creatures, no matter how small and seemingly insignificant, as mere objects of amusement. In the wizarding world, where the line between magic and morality can sometimes become blurred, the living berry drops serve as a reminder of the responsibility that comes with the ability to alter life and nature. Even with all the cautionary tales surrounding these living sweets, there are still those who cannot resist the thrill of consuming one. The living berry drops remain a symbol of the untamed and unpredictable aspects of magic, where anything can happen, and where the line between life and confectionery is a little less clear than we might like to believe. They are not just a candy, they are a living, breathing reminder of the wondrous and often dangerous world of magic. Number 21. Magical waffles with scents. In the magical world of Harry Potter, where the limits of possibility are constantly being stretched, even the simplest of pleasures, such as eating a sweet treat, can hold deeper, magical significance. Among the myriad of magical confectionaries available in Diagon Alley, one particularly curious item stands out: the magical waffle, a sweet delicacy that possesses the ability to alter its flavor and scent based on the emotions of the witch or wizard consuming it. These waffles, which are made using a secret recipe passed down through generations, are sold in specialized shops dedicated to the art of magical gastronomy. They are more than just a dessert. They are an emotional barometer, offering insight into the heart and mind of the person who consumes them. The creation of these magical waffles is an art known only to a few in the wizarding world, and their recipe is kept under the tightest of secrets. Rumors abound about the origins of the waffles, with some claiming that the secret was first discovered by a wandering French alchemist in the 17th century, while others suggest that it was a gift from the House of Black, who were known for their penchant for exotic and rare magical objects. What is known for certain, however, is that these waffles are capable of transforming their flavor based on the emotions felt by the eater. The taste and aroma can shift dramatically. If a person is overwhelmed with joy, the waffles might emit a sweet, comforting fragrance of vanilla and fresh strawberries. However, if a person is consumed by sadness or despair, the waffles might give off the unsettling flavors of chalk or raw eggs, making them an uncomfortable reminder of the eater's emotional state. This ability to reflect the emotional state of the eater makes magical waffles a powerful tool in the wizarding world. Some magical practitioners, particularly those interested in the study of emotions and the mind, use them as a way to gauge a person's current emotional state. Imagine being at a gathering of esteemed witches and wizards, and as you bite into a freshly baked waffle, the air around you begins to fill with the aroma of vanilla and strawberries. It's a sign that the person next to you is experiencing pure joy or happiness. On the other hand, should you encounter the unpleasant scent of sour milk or the acrid taste of chalk, it's clear that something troubling is weighing on that person's heart. The waffles, in this way, have become a tool for emotional transparency, a bridge between the inner turmoil of the soul and the external world. In many ways, these magical waffles can be seen as a metaphor for the way emotions can shape our reality. They offer a physical manifestation of something intangible, the delicate dance between the mind and the body. For instance, when Harry Potter, on one of his visits to Honeydukes, is given a magical waffle, he has a moment of confusion when the waffle shifts from a sweet, comforting flavor to something bitter and unsettling. It is not the waffle itself that changes, but the emotions Harry is unknowingly projecting onto it. The waffles seem to respond to his internal struggles, a reminder that even in the seemingly mundane world of magical sweets, emotions are always at play. What makes these waffles particularly fascinating is their unpredictability. Unlike other magical treats such as Bertie Bott's every flavor beans, which are known for their random and sometimes unpleasant surprises, magical waffles are attuned to the person eating them. They are an intimate reflection of the eater's emotional state, making them a deeply personal experience. The process of consuming one of these waffles becomes an introspective journey, forcing the eater to confront their emotions in a way that might otherwise remain buried. For instance, imagine the scenario where a young witch, deeply in love, takes a bite of one of these magical waffles. The moment the waffle touches her tongue, she is filled with the comforting taste of honey and roses, a flavor that perfectly mirrors her happiness. However, if the same witch were to experience heartbreak, the taste might shift to something sharp and metallic, a cold reminder of her sorrow. Such experiences have led to a deeper understanding of how emotions can influence the world around us, an idea that has intrigued many in the wizarding world. Some even speculate that these waffles may have deeper magical properties, capable of influencing or even altering the emotions of the person consuming them. It is important to note, however, that these magical waffles are not without their risks. Some witches and wizards have learned the hard way that consuming too many of these emotion-infused treats can lead to unintended consequences. If consumed during periods of intense emotional distress, they can amplify one's feelings, leading to a state of emotional imbalance. This is something that Ron Weasley once discovered when he ate a magical waffle at a particularly tense moment in his life. His emotions, already on edge, were heightened by the waffle, and the experience left him feeling even more agitated and out of control. He later confided in Harry that he had been able to taste the bitterness of frustration long after the waffle was consumed, a sensation that lingered far longer than he had expected. The emotional sensitivity of these waffles has also led to their use as a form of magical therapy. Some skilled witches and wizards have developed techniques to help individuals who are struggling with deep-seated emotional trauma. By consuming these waffles in a controlled environment, individuals can allow their feelings to surface in a way that is both safe and revealing. These magical waffles, when used correctly, can provide a unique opportunity for emotional healing, helping people process difficult experiences and move towards emotional clarity. However, the use of magical waffles is not always so therapeutic. There are those who use them in more manipulative ways. In the dark corners of the wizarding world, the ability to influence and control emotions is a powerful weapon, and some dark witches and wizards have been known to use these waffles to push others into emotional turmoil. By carefully selecting the right flavor for a given situation, they can manipulate the emotional state of a person, creating confusion and chaos. This dark art, however, is something few are willing to practice, as it involves a deep understanding of both magic and human emotion. The waffles have also become something of a social phenomenon among young witches and wizards. At Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, they have become a popular topic of conversation, particularly among students in their later years. During their free time, students often gather in the common rooms eating magical waffles and observing each other's emotional reactions. It has become something of a social ritual, where students can express their feelings without the need for words. These waffles offer a form of non-verbal communication, allowing them to convey their inner thoughts and emotions in a way that is both safe and socially acceptable. In this sense, magical waffles have become a kind of emotional currency, traded and shared among students in the most unexpected of ways. As magical waffles continue to gain popularity, there has been an increasing demand for new flavors and varieties. Some ambitious wizards have begun to experiment with different combinations of ingredients, attempting to create new waffles that cater to more specific emotional responses. There are rumors of a waffle that changes its flavor based on the type of magical creature the eater is most connected to, or one that changes in flavor depending on the phase of the moon. These innovations have sparked a wave of excitement among those who are passionate about magical cuisine, leading to the opening of new specialty shops that focus exclusively on these emotionally charged confections. Ultimately, magical waffles are more than just a curious treat in the wizarding world. They are a fascinating exploration of how emotions, magic, and the human experience intersect. With each bite, these waffles reveal something deeper about the person consuming them, offering a unique glimpse into their emotional landscape. Whether they are used for fun, therapy, or manipulation, these waffles serve as a reminder of the power emotions hold in shaping our reality, both in the magical world and beyond. Number 22. Happiness Wands. In the heart of the wizarding world, there exists a peculiar and enchanting confectionery item known as happiness wands. These tiny treats are not just any candy, but a magical delight that has captivated witches and wizards alike for generations. Shaped like miniature wands, each one is carefully crafted with a subtle blend of magical ingredients, making them both visually appealing and emotionally impactful. While their external appearance mimics the shape of a wand, their true power lies in their ability to evoke feelings of joy, serenity, and a fleeting sense of euphoria. For those unfamiliar with their effects, the moment you pop one of these wands into your mouth, a wave of warmth spreads through your chest, and a gentle breeze seems to lift the weight of the world from your shoulders. The sensation is hard to describe, almost as if every problem and worry has momentarily evaporated, leaving behind only a profound sense of contentment. The world for a short time feels lighter, and the magic of these wands is truly in how they can transform a bleak mood into something filled with optimism. Though the effect is temporary, it is powerful enough to turn a dull day into one filled with fleeting joy. The origins of the happiness wand are shrouded in mystery, much like many magical items that seem to appear out of nowhere. Some claim that the sweets were created by a long-forgotten alchemist from the early days of the wizarding world, while others suggest that their recipe was passed down by a famous family of magical confectioners. Despite their uncertain history, these wands became a beloved staple during festive occasions such as the Yule Ball at Hogwarts and other grand celebrations within the magical community. They are often found at the tables of those who are partaking in joyous events, providing a subtle charm that enhances the magic of the occasion. However, it is important to note that the effect of the happiness wand does not come without its limitations. As magical as it is, this confectionery does not have the power to solve real-life problems or alter the course of one's life. It does not erase sorrow, nor does it help one overcome their deepest struggles. Its magic is more akin to a temporary balm for the spirit, a brief escape from the harsh realities of life. For those who are facing the weight of true hardship, a happiness wand will only provide a momentary distraction. It is not a cure-all, nor is it meant to be. Yet this very fact contributes to its charm. It is a reminder that sometimes the best magic is the simplest form of joy. At Hogwarts, one could often find these sweet treats making their way into the hands of students during the festive seasons. The presence of a happiness wand at the great feast was a symbol of the fleeting but precious moments of happiness that are often found in the midst of magical turmoil. Even the usually serious and sombre Professor McGonagall was known to have a soft spot for them, occasionally indulging in one when the weight of her duties seemed overwhelming. Though she would never admit it, the temporary joy these wands brought had a certain appeal, even to the most stoic of wizards. The sweet taste of these wands, often compared to the delicate flavour of sugar-coated vanilla, was crafted to be just as enchanting as their magical effect. Their taste was soft and calming, lingering on the tongue in a way that mirrored the peace they brought to the heart. The shape of the wand was often decorated with glistening sugar crystals, making it appear like a miniature version of a wizard's wand, though much more approachable and harmless. It was a small delight in the grander scope of the magical world, yet it held a significance that many cherished deeply. Though popular in the wizarding community, the wands did not come without their share of controversy. Some witches and wizards viewed them as little more than a cheap distraction from the true challenges of life. They argued that relying on such magic was a sign of weakness, a temporary solution to deeper emotional issues that could not be fixed by simple sweets. There was a faction of individuals who believed that true happiness could only be achieved through effort, not through magical shortcuts. These dissenters were often found among the more intellectual circles, where debates on the ethics of magical consumption were common. Nevertheless, despite the naysayers, the popularity of the happiness wand remained unwavering. In fact, its appeal only seemed to grow over time. They became a symbol of the lighter, more joyful aspects of the magical world, often seen at celebrations like the Quidditch World Cup or the Winter Solstice Festival. During these times, they were passed around as tokens of goodwill, offered as a small gesture to brighten someone's day. The fact that they were so accessible made them all the more special. Their magic was not reserved for the wealthy or the elite, but available to anyone who needed a quick lift in their spirits. For many, a happiness wand was the perfect remedy after a long, tiring day. Whether returning from a strenuous class at Hogwarts or after a particularly grueling encounter with a mischievous creature, the act of enjoying one of these sweet treats felt like a moment of peace amidst chaos. For a brief instant, the weight of the world seemed to lift, and the burdens of the day were forgotten. Even the grumpiest of individuals, like the oftentimes irritated Argus Filch, had been known to partake in a happiness wand on occasion, as if to acknowledge that deep down everyone could use a little happiness now and then. As with many magical objects, the happiness wand was not without its darker counterpart. Some unscrupulous wizards and witches had tried to use the formula for their own purposes, attempting to create wands that could produce stronger and longer-lasting effects. However, this often led to disastrous results. The temptation to use the wands as a means of controlling the emotions of others was strong, but such practices were banned by the Ministry of Magic for ethical reasons. It was understood that emotions, while magical, should never be manipulated for malicious purposes, and the happiness wand was never meant to be used for anything other than the briefest of comforts. One such example of the darker side of the happiness wand was seen during the time of the First Wizarding War. It is said that some Death Eaters, in their pursuit of power, tried to harness the magic of the wands to induce euphoria in their victims, keeping them docile and compliant. However, this twisted use of magic was quickly stopped by the Order of the Phoenix, who fought to protect the integrity of the original design of the candy. In the end, the wands continued to serve their intended purpose, bringing joy and lightness, not control or manipulation. Despite their magical allure, the happiness wands are not without their own unique risks. For some, particularly those who struggle with deep emotional pain or loss, the temporary escape these wands provide can be dangerously addictive. The fleeting nature of the effects leaves some longing for more, and for those who are unwilling to confront their own pain, the wands could serve as an unhealthy distraction. It is important to remember that true healing does not come from magical sweets, but from facing one's issues head-on and seeking the support of friends and family. The popularity of the happiness wand endures, though for many it remains a bittersweet reminder of the fleeting nature of joy in the magical world. As a symbol of happiness in its simplest form, the wand provides a brief reprieve from the struggles of everyday life, but its magic is always temporary. Nevertheless, it is this very impermanence that makes the happiness wand so special. Its sweetness is in its brevity, offering just enough of a respite before life calls again. Whether at a grand celebration or during a quiet moment of solitude, the happiness wand will forever remain a small but cherished part of the wizarding world's magical landscape. Number 23. Magical nuts with a surprise. In the magical world of Harry Potter, there are many mysterious and curious treats that capture the imagination, but few are as enchanting as the magic nuts with surprises. Popular among young witches and wizards, these nuts are not just ordinary snacks. They contain secrets and wonders hidden within. They are known for their ability to reveal something unexpected when bitten into, and this has made them a favorite at magical festivals, gatherings, and even personal celebrations. The concept of the magic nuts first gained traction in the wizarding world when an old alchemist, long forgotten by time, discovered the magic of infusing a nut's shell with enchantments. With the help of ancient spells, he created a series of small magical creatures that could reside within the nuts. These creatures, not visible to the naked eye, would awaken as soon as the nut was cracked open. The creature inside would then whisper a message or reveal a secret. In some cases, it might offer advice, while in others, it would provide a riddle to be solved. The sound of its voice would often resemble the rustling of leaves, the crackling of a fire, or the faintest hum of a distant tune. As the years passed, these nuts became an iconic treat at various celebrations within the wizarding community. During the Yule Ball at Hogwarts, for example, it wasn't uncommon to see students handing out handfuls of these nuts, each one filled with its own mystery. In one memorable instance, Harry Potter himself found a magic nut at the Weasleys' Christmas party. He hesitated before cracking it open, not sure what he might discover. To his surprise, a soft, lilting voice emerged, whispering words of encouragement and reminding him of the bonds of friendship he had formed with Ron and Hermione over the years. But not all magic nuts were so benign. Some contained mischievous creatures with a knack for riddles that could leave a person pondering for hours. One such riddle, which occurred at a Weasley family reunion, asked the partygoers, "What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years?" The answer, of course, was the letter M. Yet for those not familiar with the answer, the puzzle could create quite a stir. The nuts that carried such enigmas were often the most coveted, for they offered the opportunity for intellectual challenge in addition to their delicious taste. There was, however, a darker side to these nuts. Occasionally, a nut would hold something far more dangerous than a simple riddle or friendly advice. It was during a summer holiday when Harry and his friends visited the burrow that they encountered a particularly peculiar magic nut. At first glance, it appeared no different from any other, small, round, and slightly cracked, as though it had been dropped a few times in the past. But when Ron, eager for a snack, cracked it open, a violent explosion of light and sound erupted from within. It was as though the nut had unleashed an enchanted firework, showering the room with colourful sparks and causing everyone to duck for cover. "Did you have to pick that one?" Hermione scolded, though there was a hint of laughter in her voice as she examined the nuts more carefully. This event was a reminder that the magic nuts could be unpredictable, and while most were harmless, a few could indeed contain more than what the consumer bargained for. There was also a long-standing wizarding tradition involving these nuts, known as the Feast of Surprises, a magical gathering where the guests would each receive one. The rules were simple. You could only eat the nut if you were truly ready for whatever it might reveal. This custom was seen most prominently in the Triwizard Tournament when Harry, along with Cedric Diggory, Victor Crumb, and Fleur Delacour, was invited to a gala before the final task. Each champion was handed a analyses nut, and it was only when Harry cracked his open that he found a small golden key inside. The key had no immediate use, but it was a reminder of the magical forces at play during the tournament, where nothing was ever as it seemed. Magic nuts were also used in many other ways in the wizarding world. At Hogwarts, they were frequently used in divination classes where students would crack them open in the hopes of finding a prediction about their future. Professor Trelawney would always insist that the nut's contents were deeply meaningful, and each student was tasked with interpreting the signs. For example, if one cracked open a nut and found a single, lonely bead, the interpretation might suggest a time of solitude was approaching. If the nut contained an image of a cloud, the BTR prediction might indicate that a storm, be it emotional or literal, was on the horizon. In the hands of young witches and wizards, the magic nuts became something far more than just a sweet snack. They were symbols of hope, excitement, and the unknown. Each nut held the possibility of something extraordinary, whether it was a pleasant reminder of a cherished memory or the promise of an adventure yet to come. Their unpredictability made them a fascinating subject for many students at Hogwarts who often wondered what might lie inside each new nut they opened. The nuts also became associated with the idea of fate. What was inside a nut was often seen as a reflection of the person who opened it. It was said that if you were feeling particularly uncertain or anxious, the nut might offer a word of reassurance. If you were in need of guidance, the nut might deliver just the right piece of advice. For the adventurous souls among them, the nuts might present an opportunity or challenge that would push them to grow stronger. The magic nuts also tied into the more traditional aspects of wizarding folklore. They were often seen as a tool of the ancient magical world, believed to have been created by powerful sorcerers and passed down through generations. According to some legends, the nuts were enchanted with the power of nature itself, imbued with a piece of the earth's essence that allowed them to connect to the natural world in ways that other magical objects could not. This was why the nuts could be so unpredictable. They were linked to forces far beyond the understanding of most wizards and witches. For many, the true magic of the nuts wasn't simply the surprise inside, but the experience of opening them with others. The sense of anticipation, the shared excitement of cracking open a mysterious treat, and the collective joy or shock that followed each revelation, this was where the real charm lay. It wasn't just the contents of the nut that made it special, but the moment of connection it created between those who shared the experience. While they could be found at various celebrations, including birthdays, holidays, and family gatherings, the magic nuts were also used during more somber occasions. During the memorial service for a beloved professor, the students of Hogwarts each cracked open a nut in his honor, and the contents that emerged were thought to symbolize his life's work and influence. For some, the experience was deeply emotional, as the nuts revealed images of their loved ones or memories that made them reflect on the fragility of life and the passage of time. As the years went by, magic nuts became more than just a treat or a game. They became a symbol of the unpredictable and sometimes magical nature of the world itself. They were reminders that even in the most ordinary of moments, magic could be found. Whether you were simply enjoying a quiet afternoon at the Burrow or participating in an ancient wizarding festival, the magic nuts would always have the power to surprise, delight, and sometimes challenge those who were brave enough to discover their secrets. The true magic of the nuts, it seemed, wasn't just in the spell that created them, but in the way they brought out the best in people, reminding them of the joy of wonder, the thrill of discovery, and the belief that the world was full of surprises if only they were willing to open themselves up to them. Number 24. Potion Sticks. The candy known as Potion Sticks is not for the faint of heart. While it may appear to be a simple, sweet treat, a stick covered in a sugar coating much like any other candy found in the magical world, its true nature is far more intriguing. Those who dare to try it are in for an experience that combines the wonder of magic with the unpredictability of alchemy. These candies have the remarkable ability to create a potion effect the moment they are consumed. Each stick is infused with the potential to deliver an instant result that mirrors the effect of a potion a wizard or witch might brew in their own cauldron. When a wizard or witch consumes a potion stick, they are essentially allowing the magic within to trigger the brewing process of a potion that they could normally create in their own time. However, the results are far from guaranteed. The magic in each stick works in a manner similar to a spell. It is effective only if the right combination of magical properties align. For example, if someone eats a potion stick meant to create a healing potion, the effect is instantaneous. A refreshing wave of warmth floods their body, easing aches and pains with incredible precision. It is as though the body knows precisely what it needs, and the candy provides it in a flash. Yet the stick can also be temperamental. Not every witch or wizard can expect the same outcome every time. This is especially true when it comes to more complex potions, such as the invisibility potion. A wizard might eat a stick designed to grant them the power of invisibility, but the result can often be unpredictable. Instead of vanishing completely, they may only experience a slight fading of their magical abilities, rendering their spells weak and ineffectual. The magical world has learned to tread carefully when it comes to these candies, knowing that they are as much a risk as they are a convenience. Take, for example, the case of Neville Longbottom, a Hogwarts student known for his rather turbulent relationship with potions. Neville, despite his best efforts, often found himself struggling in Professor Snape's potions class. One day, while shopping at Honeydukes, he noticed a display of potion sticks, and intrigued by the possibility of an easy potion solution, he bought one of the sticks that supposedly contained the effects of the draught of living death. Eager to impress his classmates, Neville hastily unwrapped the candy and took a bite. For a few moments, nothing seemed to happen. Then suddenly he collapsed onto the ground, unable to move, as if in the deepest of slumbers. His classmates rushed to his side, thinking he had overdosed on some dangerous substance, but moments later Neville awoke, groggy and disoriented, the effect of the sleeping potion wearing off. He never quite trusted the potion sticks after that, especially given how closely he had come to finding himself in a real-life coma. While the potion sticks may seem like an alluring shortcut, their true nature is best understood through caution and understanding. They are not an easy way out. The inconsistency of the results leaves those who rely on them vulnerable to the whims of magic. Some wizards, such as the ever-curious Luna Lovegood, found a strange fascination with these candies, experimenting with them to see how their unpredictable nature might affect their magical skills. Luna's experiments were not without consequence. On more than one occasion, she accidentally consumed a stick meant for a swelling solution and found herself, much to her embarrassment, growing larger and larger until she had to be helped by her friends to shrink back down. Even more disconcerting are the cases in which the potion sticks have unexpected, sometimes dangerous, side effects. It is well known that the candies do not always produce the intended results. For instance, a stick designed to grant a simple luck boost might instead leave its consumer in a series of unfortunate situations. There are stories of wizards finding themselves momentarily cursed with incredibly bad luck instead of good fortune, much to their dismay. One such tale involves the famous wizard Gilderoy Lockhart, who, after trying a potion stick from a particularly unscrupulous vendor, found that instead of becoming more charming and charismatic style, as was intended by the candy, he instead began to lose all memory of his own achievements, only able to recall bizarre details of his past adventures. The appeal of the potion stick, of course, lies in its promise of convenience. Who wouldn't want the ease of taking a single bite and having their desired potion instantly prepared? It's a dream come true for wizards and witches in a hurry, or those who are less skilled at potion making. However, many professionals in the wizarding world, such as potions masters and skilled healers, caution against using these candies too freely. They argue that the complexity and unpredictability of magical potions cannot truly be captured in the simple candy format. Potions are an art form and they require a deep understanding of ingredients, timing, and intent. The potion sticks, while magical, offer only a fleeting taste of this art, often falling short of expectations. Among the Hogwarts staff, the use of potion sticks was often a topic of much debate. Professor Snape, of course, was never a fan. As a master of potion making, he viewed these candies as an insult to his craft. He would often warn his students about the dangers of relying on shortcuts, emphasizing the value of careful preparation and precise measurement. His advice was not always heeded, especially by students like Ron Weasley, who once, in a particularly unfortunate moment of desperation, tried to use a potion stick to cure an upset stomach. The result was far from desirable, as Ron suddenly found himself regurgitating a vivid green liquid that refused to stop. His experience, though humorous in hindsight, served as a powerful reminder to avoid taking such risks. But not all were so cautious. In fact, there were some who found the potion sticks to be an invaluable resource. Take Harry Potter, for example. Harry had often relied on various potions throughout his adventures, from the lucky boost of the luck potion to the healing powers of the blood-replenishing potion. On one occasion, while on a particularly dangerous mission during his 5th year, Harry found himself in a perilous situation, severely injured and unable to get to a hospital wing in time. He had heard of the potion sticks and, in a moment of desperation, tried one that was said to contain a powerful healing potion. The effect was almost immediate. His wounds began to close up, the pain subsiding as if by magic. It was the kind of quick relief that Harry had never experienced before, but even then he understood the risk involved. The potion stick had worked, but it was not a substitute for skilled potion making or professional healing. Though the potion sticks hold a peculiar place in the wizarding world, they do not compare to the true mastery of potion making that can only be achieved through years of study and practice. The convenience they offer is tempting, but at what cost? The potential for unintended consequences, the unpredictable nature of the magic, and the possibility of side effects all serve as reminders that magic cannot always be rushed. For those who wish to dabble in these sugary delights, caution must always be their companion. A single bite might lead to unexpected results, but it is only through careful understanding and a respect for the magic that one can fully appreciate the complexities of potions and their place in the magical world